Hi, I'm Mimi Chan. Welcome to Culture Chat. Thanks for joining the conversation.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday and happy 100th Culture Chat episode to me. It has been a wonderful couple of years podcasting now, and it is very exciting that I have made it to my 100th episode. So this week is International Women's Day, which is going to be celebrated on March 8th, and I thought, what better way to celebrate my 100th episode than to discuss feminism. Yes, that's right, you heard it, feminism. The evil plot by females to take over the world, and the use of dark magic to persecute all males who will not bend to the commands of the superior sex. Yeah, that's pretty absurd, I know. Those of you who read my blog may have gotten a little bit of a preview about what I'm going to talk about today, but obviously the word feminism, I think, has gotten a bad reputation, especially lately. I feel like a lot of individuals get turned off by the word because they don't really understand it. Similar to many things in today's society, I feel misunderstanding, lack of information and education about a subject is really what leads people to dig their heels in so much to a stance, whether it be political or social or personal, that they just don't want to actually listen to anything that they feel will go against what they currently believe or what they have chosen or the side that they decided they are going to stand on. I will be the first to admit that I actually am very similar to what I just described and kind of made it sound like, oh, this is such a bad thing. I admit that when I make a decision, I generally stand by it. I don't like to admit that I am wrong, and I pretty much choose my quote-unquote team or, side, and I really feel that I've done a good amount of research or I know what I'm talking about. But in the last year, I have tried to do a lot of self-reflection and thought and really tried to be more open to hearing others' opinions, especially as this country has become so divisive. So instead of talking while someone else is talking, I try to listen, I try to inform myself, and then I try to kind of make a good decision based on what information that I have, and I'm not gonna lie, I usually come back to my same conclusion and I really am grounded in my beliefs, but at the same time, I really am trying to open myself up to understanding others and really trying to believe that all of us really want what's best. All of us at the root of who we are want the same things. We want happiness, we want a good family, we want to have comfort every day. And so I feel that most people are not maniacal and evil like us quote unquote feminists are. And so in that same regard, I would hope that people would be open to understanding what International Women's Day is about and that it's not just a bunch of crazy women who are out to destroy everyone. It really does, however, baffle me that people raise an eyebrow or look at me negatively whenever I say I'm a feminist. I actually think the word is given too much power. If I say, I really believe in gender equality, equal pay, or, equal treatment, people are like, oh, of course, yes, that's completely fine. But most people, I think, don't like to appear that they are sexist. Whether they are or not, that's for someone else to judge. But I think people do not like to have that appearance. So let's talk a little bit about International Women's Day. What is it? Well, I did a little research because I know that each year it comes around and I try to tweet something or post something about girl power or how wonderful it is to be a woman and show that women can do anything, and also that we have different dimensions to us, right? Some women are amazing homemakers, and that's completely fine. Some women are actresses in Hollywood and are incredibly talented, like Cate Blanchett, who can play a man or a woman or any role she actually wants to. And then some of us are kung fu teachers who are in a very male-dominated field. So yes, women have come a long way. We can vote, we run for office as so awesomely seen this year. We have more women running and more women being elected with each year that goes by. And we've gained a lot of major quote unquote rights. But why do we have to gain these rights? Why aren't they already there? I fail to see how this is enough. We still have so much to fight for in terms of equality, especially in the United States, where we are supposed to be forerunners, where we are supposed to be the future. I think we have a long way to go. And I can't even begin to discuss the other countries, third world countries, underdeveloped countries that definitely have beyond a long way to go. They are suffering. There are women who are suffering beyond belief. I am a little underqualified to discuss the pains of all of these countries, and I'm hoping to have someone on my podcast in the near future that really can shed some light for us. I had in the past some women who were independent filmmakers, and they were making an incredible documentary called Survivor in White. So you could check that blog out and that podcast out. They were highlighting some major injustices going on to the Yazidi women. So that is definitely something that I would like people to take a listen to again as we move into International Women's Day this year. It's so very relevant. So what is International Women's Day exactly? Well, it was initially promoted by the Socialist Party of America and actually popularized by communist countries in the early 1900s, probably because that's where they noticed women were really oppressed. And no, I'm not a socialist or a communist or, trying to start any sort of revolution. Again, my father escaped communism. Remember to be here in the land of the free. You can check out that documentary anytime you like if you have not already. I am very proud of that work. But despite its origins, International Women's Day simply celebrates women's achievements throughout the world. Its purpose is to promote women's equality, encourage support for repressed women, and promote appreciation toward women everywhere. Who doesn't want to appreciate women? Many organizations, including the United Nations, use this day to celebrate extraordinary achievements of ordinary women. Go girl power. So this year, the theme for International Women's Day is Balance for Better. And the goal this year is to encourage action to achieve gender equality worldwide. It's really sad to me that I actually do personally know people who don't believe in gender equality, and it's frustrating, to think that they really believe that women are so one-dimensional, they only have one use. And I'll be honest, it makes me mad. I loved watching Mad Men as much as the next person, but not because it reminds me of a quote-unquote better era. If anything, it actually reinforced how ridiculous it was that the women's role in that era was so diminished. And it really frustrates me that so many people here in America make the statement, let's get back to America when it was great, or this supposedly better era when civil rights had not occurred, or, which era are we talking about that people want to get back to? That's what I want to know, because with each decade comes a certain amount of progress, and lately I feel like people want to go backwards in time, and I'm not sure what kind of nostalgia they're holding on to, if it's some sort of childhood dream or some sort of belief that they were in a better place, but I don't know. I like modern medicine and I like the technological advances we've had. I will be the first to admit I don't think I could survive without my smartphone. It would be really difficult and I don't want to give it up. So I'm happy with moving forward and progressing forward in time. I'm really fortunate that my mother was a strong woman. She started her own business in addition to supporting the Wallam Temple's growth. She had her own life outside of being just a homemaker. She worked full time. She was still a good mom, and she continued singing and doing things she enjoyed. I never understood why women were treated inferiorly, and it baffles me. Balance for better means so many things, and it really struck a chord with me this year when I saw that this was the theme, maybe because of my martial arts background, and balance is so important, not just physically, but mentally and on so many different levels. I really embraced this year's theme. It symbolizes the hopes of equal opportunities. My husband and I often discuss social issues, and he's a personal trainer, so we even discuss the fact that there are definitely differences between men and women, and there's nothing wrong with saying that because there are differences. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. Now, we can say that they are biologically different and, physically there are differences, and that's just a fact. And I don't think by getting frustrated or angry when people point that out is a positive thing. I'm not that sensitive. Nobody denies that we are different, that we are chemically and physically different. But I deny that we are inferior or superior. I think feminists just want an equal opportunity and fair treatment. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. To quote the incredible Gloria Steinem, world-renowned feminist, journalist, and activist, she said, "The story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist nor to any one organization, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights." I think about that quote and it really resonates with me because we are all humans and we all, like I said earlier, I believe at the core want the same things. Last year, I spoke about my experience with sexual abuse as a child. Each day, I work on the challenges that decision has brought me. Of course, the headlines in the news have been inundated with so many other things, so we don't hear about the Me Too movement anymore, but it doesn't mean that these issues still do not occur. Child abuse happens every day. Sexual abuse happens every day. Sexual harassment happens every day to both men and women. Much of the comfort I have had has been in the support from Oscar, my husband, my family, and close friends that are just incredible. They are the ones that have been the pillars in keeping me going and holding me up. And although I am someone who just keeps going no matter what, I am very busy. I run a business. I do this podcast. I try to juggle so many things. I don't kind of let things bog me down. It doesn't mean I don't also have challenges. It doesn't mean that I can't be a victim because I am a strong woman. And I feel like those lines with, oh, I'm a feminist and I'm strong, make people believe that you are invincible. And maybe it's the front or maybe it's the exterior and what people see on the outside. But I feel like that's also a stereotype. I always look to others to learn from, and one of the strong women of late that I just actually finished reading her book was Michelle Obama, someone I respect immensely. As the first Black First Lady of the United States, she endured so much criticism. Heaven forbid she be highly educated. Heaven forbid she has an opinion, It was really eye-opening to hear from her point of view a lot of the background and what was happening internally for her, because she was vulnerable and she was upset and things did affect her. And I can relate to that because most people see me as a very strong, independent woman, and I am. But it doesn't also mean I don't have my fair share of challenges, and it doesn't mean that I'm not affected by the actions of others. I definitely have been working on my stoicism thought process to try and only control that which I can, which is how I think about things. And so I've been meditating and doing my part there. But, I also just read Rebecca Traister's book, Good and Mad, The Revolutionary Power of Women's Anger. And I absolutely believe in that as well. There is no reason just because I'm a woman, I can't be angry. I really enjoyed her book, but I could only read it in doses because it would, in effect, get me angry. And actually, even more so than her book, what spoke to me and what led me to reading her book was her interview on Sam Harris's podcast. And everything and every objection and every challenge that was thrown her way in regards to women's anger and our reaction to injustices, she just so eloquently explained. One of the quotes that really spoke to me was when she said, "When a more powerful person assaults a less powerful person, it is almost indiscernible to us. But when that less powerful person resists by either telling a story or throwing a rock or whatever it may be and disrupts or dissents from the way power is supposed to work, that is quickly cast as aggressively disruptive, chaotic, problematic, violent." I am frustrated that people think I had a vendetta for sharing my experience with sexual abuse. And for some reason, my abuser is the victim, and I'm attacking this person, the person that he happens to be today. However, like countless others before me, I'm always questioned. Why speak out now? Why wait so long? Are you sure you're remembering this clearly? I've already answered this in previous blog posts and also on a previous podcast, so you can listen in there. I won't inundate you with my response, but I will vent a little because it's my podcast and I can. People are so quick to judge strong women, and maybe if they or I were perceived as weak or fragile, then I would be perceived as a real victim. I don't need to be perceived as a victim every day of my life. I don't want sympathy, but I do want compassion. I do want people to actually understand that someone like myself and many others like myself, men, women, whatever it may be, can be victims, and there is still challenges and difficulty with being truthful about our abuse. And if anybody thinks that it's something that is easy or that it's easier for me, then they're wrong. A big question you get is why and what do you want out of this, right? Do we want justice? Do we want to feel a weight lifted off of our shoulders? Or do we just want an apology? Everybody is a little bit different. Personally, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I felt a huge responsibility as an educator to share what I feel should be at the forefront of child development and child education on personal space and body awareness. I also, by in effect wanting to confront and wanting my experience in the open, wanted an apology. I wanted my victimizer or abuser to take accountability for his actions and understand that there were ramifications to his actions. As an educator, as a teacher in the martial arts, I try to teach my students to take accountability for their actions. I think if we all took more accountability for our actions and owned up to it, the world would be a better place. Okay, I'm not going to make the entire podcast be about venting, but I will say we all have a lot of work to do, myself included. I work at being a better version of myself every day. I am very fortunate because of the family I grew up in, the country I happen to be born in. I have a lot of privileges and opportunities that others do not. So because of this awareness, I definitely hope to do my small part in helping bring balance for better. In addition, I want to know what you are going to be doing to celebrate International Women's Day on March 8th or, all of this week. And honestly, we shouldn't just wait till one day to appreciate the women in our lives or women around us. Just celebrate women, celebrate the women around you that you love and know, and we can all work together on balance for better. Thanks for listening to Culture Chat. Quick shout out to my girls at Walum who are all very strong women and also helped put together this photo for Balance for Better for International Women's Day. Thank you to Alexia, Christine, and Lucy, and our photographer, Laura.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to Culture Chat and hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe and rate my podcast. Feel free to leave me suggestions or send an email to mimi@culturechatpodcast.com or follow me on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.